In this video, we're going to be doing a drive through Irmo, South Carolina. This is probably one of the most requested videos I got, and we got a lot of ground to cover. So let's get started. And for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Brandon. Not only am I a transplant here to South Carolina, but I'm a local real estate agent as well, covering the Midlands of South Carolina, Lexington, Columbia, and Lake Murray. And I put videos out every single week teaching you about the area to see if it's right for you. So don't forget to click that subscribe button, but let's get started with the video. All right, so as I said, this is one of the most requested videos I had. However, this is going to be a long drive. It's probably going to actually break down into two different videos. And I'm going to show you the route that I took in order to cover as much of Irmo as I could. As we kind of look at the map here, basically what I started out doing was started off on St. Andrews Road. Basically, if you're to get off the interstate on I-26 at St. Andrews Road, heading towards Irmo. From there, I take St. Andrews Road down to Bush River, take Bush River up to Lake Murray. Once we get to Lake Murray, I do drive down Lake Murray Dam just because that is one of people's favorite views when they do come here. After that, we come on back as if we're coming out of Lexington, if you saw my driving through Lexington or driving to Chapin tour. And after we come back from Lexington, we're going to cross back over where we came from onto Lake Murray Boulevard. Then we're going to take Lake Murray Boulevard back up to St. Andrews Road. We're going to take St. Andrews Road back to basically where we turned on Bush River, and we're going to turn on what's called Piney Grove. We're going to head up Piney Grove almost to the interstate, and then we're going to hook a left heading over to the Harbison area where the Columbiana Mall is. Movie theater, shopping, things like that. Once we cut through Harbison, we're going to make a right back on Lake Murray Boulevard, take that over to where it merges with Broad River, and make a left into what is called Piney Woods. Piney Woods actually turns into Lost Creek, and we're going to take that back through the Harbison Forest into a neighborhood called Chestnut Hill Plantation. We will cut through that neighborhood, coming out on Hollingshed. We'll take Hollingshed down to Kennerly, take Kennerly up to the Ascot neighborhood I've done a video about. We actually will cut through the neighborhood just because I have had a lot of positive feedback about that neighborhood. After we leave Ascot, we're going to keep heading down Kennerly Road to Old Tama Road. This is the road that Dutch Fork High School is going to be on. We're going to take that all the way back to Broad River where there's Walmart and other restaurants and shopping. And we're going to take Broad River back to a street called Woodrow that does turn back into St. Andrews Road. However, what we're going to do this time is when we hit Lake Murray Boulevard in St. Andrews, we're going to make a quick right and a quick right back on Irmo Drive. And we're going to take Irmo Drive down to North Lake Drive. And again, if you watch my videos about driving from Lexington to Chapin, you'll be familiar of North Lake Drive, as during that trip we did pass Irmo Drive. All right, so as we kick off this tour of Irmo, I'm going to give you a little bit more information about Irmo itself. Just like Lexington, Irmo is the town that we're talking about. However, what we consider Irmo encompasses a lot more than just the town. But a little bit more information about the town itself of Irmo. The town itself is just under 7 square miles. According to the U.S. 2020 census, there were just under 12,000 people living in Irmo. On the west side of Irmo, you will find Lake Murray, and on the south side of it, you will find the Saluda River. I like to tell people, I like to break Irmo into two different aspects. You have the part that we are driving through currently. This area is made up of a lot of neighborhoods that were built back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. A lot of neighborhoods with no HOA. A lot of homes with character to them. As well, you will find a lot of shopping conveniently located in the area. And then there's what I like to call the more rural side of Irmo, which we will cross into later, where the Ascot neighborhood is. This, you're going to find less shopping, a lot more trees, a lot less densely populated than the part of Irmo we are driving through now. As well, one thing you'll note is that Irmo is made up of a mix between Lexington County as well as Richland County. That's right, the county line does kind of split right there in Irmo. As well, you will see some of Irmo lands in a zip code that is a Columbia zip code. So there are some homes you find in Irmo that do have that Columbia address because of that zip code. The high schools we do find here are Irmo High School, part of the award-winning Lexington-Richland 5-school district, as well as Dutch Fork High School, as I mentioned earlier, going to be on the more rural tree side of Irmo that I mentioned. And again, we will drive past both Irmo and Dutch Fork High School in this video. As we continue this tour, I'm not going to point out every single thing because thankfully there's a lot of signs that do mention what is in the area locally. However, there are some neighborhoods and different key highlights that I will point out as we're driving through. All right, so if you missed that sign, what we're pulling up to is what is called the Whitehall neighborhood. This is a larger neighborhood in Irmo. As mentioned before, you're gonna find those 60s, 70s, and 80s homes. No HOA, lots of character, things like that. I am doing a little bit of a side picture-in-picture drive-by through Whitehall neighborhood, so you kind of get an idea of what it looks like inside that neighborhood. Now, another thing to notate about Irmo is because it does come off the Broadway River with many creeks and streams running through the area, there are a portion of homes that do land in a floodplain and would require flood insurance. Now, this is not the majority of homes, it's actually going to be the minority of homes. So again, while most of the homes will not be in a floodplain, don't be surprised if every once in a while you do come across a home that is in a floodplain and does require flood insurance. On the left here is actually going to be the Shaw flooring plant. That's right, Shaw Floors. This is one of their plants. All right, so as we're around the corner on the left here, you may catch a glimpse of the Saluda Shoals Park. Not only do they have the rec fields, but the main thing is access to the Saluda River. You'll find picnic tables, benches, and things like that all along the Saluda River for a day of kayaking and fun on the Saluda River. As well, if you followed me on social media, you've seen that this is also where they do the Saluda Shoals Christmas lights. You get to take a drive through the park where they have it decorated with tons of Christmas lights along that drive. And then right there in the middle, you can roast s'mores, meet Santa, go on a little walking trail with more Christmas lights. Always a highlight I mentioned during the holiday season. So as we come up here on the right, another neighborhood I wanted to highlight, Coldstream. Again, very similar to Whitehall, no HOA, homes built 70s, 80s, lots of character. Again, I'm doing a little picture-in-picture drive-through of that neighborhood so you can check it out, as this is one of the larger neighborhoods right here in this part of Irmo. All right, so as we come to the end of Bush River here, if you go to the left, this is gonna be Lake Murray. We're gonna make a left here and drive across the dam, as I mentioned. To the right is gonna be Lake Murray Boulevard. We're gonna be heading that way after we go over the dam. Straight is gonna continue on towards Chapin, as I mentioned before. If you've watched my video, driving from Lexington to Chapin, you'll recognize this drive here. But again, always a highlight driving across the Lake Murray Dam. So we're gonna do that, and then again, we're gonna loop back around, head down Lake Murray Boulevard. All right, so again, now we're coming back across the dam. Lexington is going to be behind us. At this intersection, this is going to turn into Lake Murray Boulevard, and we're going to continue on that back to St. Andrews Road. So on the right here is actually going to be the Mungo Park. Yes, Mungo as the name of the home builder locally. It was originally built by Michael J. Mungo back in 1971, known as the Coldstream Country Club. However, in 2018, the Mungo family donated it to the Irmo Chapin Recreation Committee, and as mentioned is now known as the Mungo Park. This 118-acre park is made up of green space, walking trails, and a rec center. It was the former clubhouse, as mentioned, and can be rented out for parties and events. So before we make a right on St. Andrews, to the right here is actually going to be where Irmo Elementary School is. And as we come up here, we're going to be turning from Lake Murray Boulevard back onto St. Andrews Road, which is where we initially started. On the right, in case you didn't see it, this is one of the Lexington Medical Center's urgent care as well as medical facilities. Coming up here on the right is another big neighborhood in the area, Murraywood. All right, so as we pull up to this intersection, that billboard right there, if you've watched any of my other videos and you've seen the billboard behind me, yes, that was an actual billboard, and this is one of the couple places it was around town. Give backstory to that. The brokerage I work for, Jeff Cook Real Estate, hosted a contest, and I was one of the winners as one of the top listing agents in our office. And so the company created these billboards for us, put them around town. This is one of the spots as mentioned, and of course we got a copy of it as you've seen behind me in a lot of my other videos. But coming up here on the left is another bigger neighborhood, Quail Valley. So on the right here, we're going to be passing Irmo High School. If you make a left here, it's going to head down Harbison Boulevard. Again, we are going to dive into Harbison in just a little bit. That's where the Columbiana Mall is. Lots of shopping, restaurants, things like that. But let's continue on. All right, so I gotta point out CiCi's Pizza, only because growing up in California, we got commercials for CiCi's Pizza, but there was not any within driving distance of where we lived. So we'd always see these macaroni and cheese pizza and cool things like that. So it was always this dream to go to CiCi's Pizza because I've never been there. So that was definitely one of the first places we went when we moved here, was CiCi's Pizza. All right, so if you do recognize this, to the right is going to be Bush River Road where we originally turned. However, we're going to go up and again turn down Piney Grove. All right, so as we head down Piney Grove here, on the right does connect back to that Whitehall neighborhood. As I said, very large neighborhood. All right, so as we come back up to the interstate here, I-26, we're gonna be making a left towards Harbison. However, straight ahead is going to be Costco. It is the only local Costco that we have for the entire Midlands. All right, so now we are pulling into what is known as Harbison. This is where the Columbiana Mall is. Tons of shopping, restaurants, movie theaters, you name it. I'm glad that my car camera does not have audio recording because you may hear me yelling at some drivers and I don't want you all judging me. All right, so as you can see, as we continue down Harbison Boulevard, about to turn on Columbiana Drive, this is where a lot of the main chain shopping, restaurants, things like that are gonna be, and of course, as I mentioned, the Columbiana Mall. As we turn here on Columbiana Drive, I should have kept going and turned into the mall. However, after I made the turn, I realized, don't worry, we can figure this out. So I ended up making a right turn so you guys can take a look at where our mall is. As you pull in, kind of looks like your mall. Red Robin, Forever 21, Dave & Buster's, you name it. As far as the main stores at the mall, there's gonna be a JCPenney's, a Dillard's, and a Belk. But let's loop back around and cut back out. I didn't want to go back out to the light, so instead we're just going to cut through this Value City Furniture, of course, drive over a few speed bumps. I could have drove around them through the parking lot, but I know some of you like to judge me, so I just did the right thing and drove through. But I should have done like that guy did and just cut through the parking lot, right? All right, so on the left here is a restaurant called Don Tequila's, one of my wife's favorite Mexican restaurants. If you're new to the area and you're trying to find a good Mexican restaurant, especially someone like me coming from California, it can be very hard to find. Don Tequila's is her favorite. Another really good one, for those of you that stuck around and are listening, Real Mexico. This is also gonna be in Irmo, not a section we're driving through, but again, just search Real Mexico in Irmo and you will find it. All right, so as we continue down Columbiana Drive, there are some neighborhoods tucked up here to the left. Some newer homes, as well as you can see, some older homes. Again, as we continue on down Columbiana Drive, right here on the right, you're gonna see a bunch of different places. Yamato Sushi, Texas Roadhouse, Rio's Brazilian Steakhouse, Baraba's Italian Grill, hotels, and more. To give you reference, I'm about to turn back onto Lake Murray Boulevard off of Columbiana. If we go left, it's gonna cut back to Lake Murray Boulevard where we were earlier. But at this point, I'm actually going to stop and we're gonna pick up from this exact same spot in the next video. And that's where we're gonna drive through, again, the areas where Ascot is, Chestnut Hill Plantation, Dutch Fork High School, and so much more. So we'll see you on the next one.
There's only one phone call that you need to make. In Columbia, Brandon Garon is a real estate agent dedicated to helping families relocating to South Carolina. Contact the agent I trust in Lexington and all of the Midlands, Brandon Garon, and visit him online at brandongaron.com.